Good afternoon, Royal LePage. My name is John Shrives, and I'm part of the Learning Services team here at Royal LePage Canada. I'd like to wish you a warm welcome to today's Building Your Tech Toolkit session. And today's session is going to be focused on Google Hangouts. We'll probably be spending about 30 to 40 minutes of our time together just talking about what Hangouts is really all about. I find that once you get started using Hangouts, it's fairly simple and fairly intuitive. So in today's presentation, what I really want to focus on is all the things that are possible with Hangouts. So with that, let's get started with the presentation. So in terms of our goals for today's webinar, what I really want you to get out of the session is all of the things that are possible using Google Hangouts. So that would be how to send SMS and chat messages, the ability to make video calls using a webcam, and then once you're doing those video calls, all the options that you have for sharing with the other person. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you on screen during the video call. You could be looking over the same document together, or you could be sharing your screen with the other person, or perhaps watching a video on YouTube together. So there's a lot of options in terms of how you run those video calls. Finally, I want to talk to you about how you can broadcast video to a wide audience and record it to YouTube using Hangouts. And that would be through a sub-product of Hangouts called Hangouts on Air. So I'll give you all the details for using that system. As always, I really encourage you to ask questions at any time during the presentation. So up in the top right-hand corner of the screen, if you're viewing the presentation within Hangouts, you can see the little Q&A icon. And when you click on that, it'll open up a question and answer panel on the right-hand side. Otherwise, if you're viewing today's presentation as a recording, you can always get in touch with us here at learningservices@royallepage.ca. So as we're getting started, what is Hangouts all about? And it was really difficult for me to come up with a very succinct definition because it allows for a lot of different functionality. But if I were to boil it down to just one sentence, I'd say that Hangouts is Google's tool for easy communication. And you'll see as I go through the presentation, it's really built into a lot of the other Google apps so that it's very accessible and very easy to use. So using Hangouts, you have the ability to send SMS messages. And what I mean by that is it's just like a simple text message, depending on what kind of phone you have. Could be the default provider for the texting service is Google Hangouts. I'm going to show you how you can make phone calls. And that's especially compelling because you can make free phone calls to anywhere within North America. I'm going to show you how you can send chat messages or use it as an instant messenger with your colleagues. Talk about how you can make video calls using Hangouts. And then finally, some of those options for sharing when you're in a Hangout. So how you can share documents, photos, your screen, and a whole lot more. So the first question, of course, would be how to get to Hangouts. And there's actually several different ways. As I was mentioning before, Hangouts is built into many of the other Google apps to make it easy to access and to really make it a useful tool for communication. So one of those locations would be within your Gmail account. And you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you're going to see your Hangouts. And the reason that that's so important is most of us are spending most of our time when we're online in our email. And so it's a natural fit to have it within the Gmail. However, you can also access Hangouts via your Google Plus account. And within Google Plus, you can see you've got your Hangouts and your previous chats that will show up on the right-hand side. But also in the Google Plus, there's an entire Hangouts section. And we're going to come back to that section a little bit later because this is where you would go to set up a Hangout on Air. Hangout on Air being a larger broadcast that you're doing to a wide audience. You can access Hangouts via the RLP network. So when you log into your RLP network, you'll see the whole suite of Google tools that displays on the right-hand side of the screen. And all you have to do is click on the Hangouts button there to begin an instant message or a video call with somebody. Another way is to simply type in hangouts.google.com into the address bar. And it'll take you right to an interface that is just Hangouts. So I'm going to show you what that looks like a little bit later in the presentation. What I want to do now is I want to focus on all the different ways of using Hangouts. And the first one that I mentioned was as an SMS message. So when I mean, again, SMS message, I'm just referring to a simple text message. And for certain phones, for example, I have the Google Nexus phone. And so you'll notice that right here in the middle, where I've got that image of a phone, down towards the bottom, there's a little icon for Hangouts. And then just pressing on that, I have the ability to send text messages to others using the Hangouts service. You can also make phone calls using Hangouts, and that can be done from either from your desktop. So let me actually hop into my account here, and I can show you how you can go about making a phone call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Gmail account. And as I was saying before, I'm going to see all of my Hangouts in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Just give it a moment here to load. And you'll see there's a little icon here for the telephone. So if I click on that phone icon, then it's going to show me some of my contacts, and I could immediately dial them, or I could begin punching in a phone number. And then dial that phone number. One of the things that's fantastic is that you can make a free long distance call to anywhere within North America. And the other person, they don't have to be using Hangouts or have any special software or programs in order to be able to receive your call. I could make a phone call here to this number, and it would simply dial it as if it's just any other person calling them. They could pick up on a landline, their cell line, and we could have a phone conversation that way. The only thing that I would need to do is just to make sure that I had speakers built into my computer and a microphone in the computer in order to actually have that conversation. One thing to keep in mind when you do use the telephone call feature through Google Hangouts is that sometimes if the other person has call display, it would show up when you're dialing them that it'll display as a California telephone number. So some people might be confused as, who do I know in California that would be calling me? And they might not answer the call, but that is how it would display for them if they do have call display. You can also use Hangouts as an instant messaging service. And so down here in the bottom, I could click on the little silhouette icon to see all of my icons. And like with a lot of other instant messaging services, be it Skype or MSN, it has it divided up in between who is currently online and who is offline at the moment. So above this line and indicated with a little green dot is anybody that's currently online and available. Whereas those below that line who do not have any indication or any dot that they're online, those would be my offline contacts. Another way of viewing these Hangouts would be to click into here. And by clicking on the little Hangouts logo, I can see all of my past Hangouts and who I was, and can even pop open the full conversation. If you see one that's in bold, like the missed call here, that would be a message that I have not read yet or that I have not responded to yet. As you're looking at your contacts, you can leave your cursor over one of your contacts' names to find their business card. And this is a business card that's created based on the information into Google Plus, or if they're one of your Gmail contacts. So first I see the name and their email address, as well as their company. Then I have the Add to Circles option. So for those of you who are familiar with Google+, Circles is a function within Google+ of how you can segment your contacts. The other people do not know what circle they've been put into. They would simply know that they're in one of your circles, but they wouldn't know exactly which one they fall into. So if I wanted to, I could add Jenny into one of my circles, again, just as a way of segmenting my database. Then along the bottom, so the bottom left-hand side, I have the option to add to contacts. If this person was already one of your contacts within Gmail, rather than saying add to contacts, it would just say contact info, and I could click on that button to see all of their contact details that have been input into Gmail contacts. If I click on the emails button, it's going to display all of the emails that I've previously had back and forth with Jenny. So you get a full history of all our email conversation. And then on the bottom right-hand side, there's 3 different icons that display. The first one is the video camera. So by clicking on that, I could immediately start a video call. The second one in the middle, it's a little talk bubble. That would be to send a Hangouts message. And what I mean by a Hangouts message is like a chat message or an instant message. And then the furthest icon on the right is the envelope icon. And by clicking on that, I could begin to send an email to Jenny. What I'd like to do for now is let me get back into there. I'm going to start a Hangout with Jenny. So I click on the middle one, and then it pops up the Hangout. You can see above the line is the history of my previous interactions with Jenny. So I'm just going to send her a little message, say hi. But as I was pointing out before, Jenny is currently not online, and I can tell that because there's no green circle over her picture. So it's unlikely that she's going to respond to this message. However, if she was online and if she did click open to see that I had sent her this message, I'd see her. I'm just noticing now that my Hangouts window is not appearing. So let me just fix that. There we go. So now you can actually see the Hangout that I've got with Jenny. So if Jenny were to respond to this message, what I'd see first is I'd see her little picture pop up here down towards the bottom left. And if I see her picture there, it means that she's opened this window and she's currently reading my message. Then if I were to see 3 little green dots across the screen, that indicates to me that she's in the process of typing a response to me. And so we could just go back and forth like that and have a conversation. As soon as she sends a message to me that I haven't read, then the top bar here where it has her name, that will be flashing in green. And again, on the left-hand side here in the little Hangouts box, any message that I haven't read would be in black and in bold. So I can see at a glance if I've got any messages that require follow-up. Once I'm in the Hangout with Jenny, I've got a few options in terms of communicating with her. So here, if I click on the little happy face icon, I can use some of the many emoticons that are available and all separated into different categories. There's even a whole section of stickers, which are just different, I'd say more elaborate emoticons. I also have the ability to draw an image if I wanted to click on the little pencil. And the furthest icon on the right looks like the logo for a JPEG if I wanted to attach a photo to send to Jenny. And of course, I could simply just type in regular text. A few more options along the top. The first one here is the video camera, which would turn this into a video chat. There's the little icon, it's a silhouette with a plus sign. And so by clicking on that, I could invite other people into this conversation. We can have a larger conversation going. And then the gear icon, I could modify some of the settings for this Hangout. So for example, if I wanted this Hangout to be private and I didn't want all of the details of the Hangout to be saved, I could uncheck the Hangout history. Or if I didn't want to receive notifications each time she responded to one of my messages, I could uncheck notifications. Archive would archive this Hangout away into my all mail folder within my Gmail, where I could access it at a later date. I could go ahead and delete this entire conversation, or I could block Jennifer. And so you're able to have Hangouts with not only anybody within who's using their @royallepage.ca email, but in fact, anybody who currently has an active profile on Google Plus or is a Gmail user. So if I'm looking for someone to have a Hangout with, I can go back to this Find People to Chat With just beside my name. So I'll click the little magnifying glass icon, and I can do a search for people. So let me just think I'll type in Michael. And it'll show me first all the people named Michael within Royal LePage, but then I'm going to see even more options who are just other people named Michael who have Google Plus Hangouts. And so I could begin a conversation with any one of them. So all this to say that you could have a Hangout with one of your clients if they're using Gmail or have a Google Plus profile. So that's it for the instant messaging aspect of it. Let me now show you what a video call looks like. And so to initiate that, I'm going to click on the video camera icon to turn this into a video call. So first you can see it ringing here. Again, it's unlikely that Jenny's going to respond just because, as I was saying before, that it was showing that she wasn't even online. But here I can see myself on the screen that my camera is currently on. And in addition to just being able to show yourself on the screen, you have some other options in terms of what you want to do on your Hangout. So along the left-hand side here, I'll start up at the top. There's first a chat window that you could open. So I can open that up, and then it shows up on the right-hand side so we could have a chat back and forth. I could do a screen share and then share one of my other screens. So for example, I could go back and I could share, let's say, a PowerPoint file. And then we could look at this PowerPoint file together and go step by step through the document. Let me go back here. I could take a picture of what's hanging in the Hangout. And there's the Hangouts toolbox where you get a bit of functionality in terms of setting up the Hangouts, maybe giving yourself a little subtitle across the bottom of the screen with your name, and some ways of getting a little bit more fancy with your Hangout. In terms of some of the other options that are available to you, you can also open up the YouTube app, and using that you could show somebody a video via Hangout. And so you would both be watching this video together. Up along the top of the screen are some of the options for configuring your Hangout. So I could click the little icon with a person and a plus sign, would allow me to invite additional people. And as more and more people join the call, I would see their window appear down here in the bottom right. So currently, because I'm the only person on the call, you're only seeing my window. You can click on me if you want to see a larger version. But if there were several people in the call, it would go back and forth between the windows based on who is currently speaking. And so it is able to pick up who is currently making sound into their microphone and actually display their camera. I can also mute my microphone. I could turn off my camera if I wanted to. I could adjust the bandwidth usage, which generally speaking, I would avoid messing around with that. That's there just in case you're in a location where the strength of the internet is somewhat weak and you needed to reduce the bandwidth in order to have the Hangout. But generally speaking, I wouldn't really play around with that too much. And then you've got your settings where you can choose which camera you'd like it to pick up, which microphone you want it to pick up, as well as where you want the sound to come through. And if you make any changes, of course, you just want to remember to save those. So that's what the video Hangouts are all about. In terms of inviting other people, you have the ability to invite up to 15 people into this type of Hangout. And so it's great if you want to do a meeting or an informal conversation with somebody. And when you're ready to conclude your call, all you need to do is go up to the top here to the red button, and I can click here to leave the call. So there we go. I should be back on screen now. At this point, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you can schedule a video call. Because as I was saying before, you can have these impromptu type instant messages or then launch into a video call. But if you want to, you can schedule meetings in advance with people using Google Calendar. So let me go into my calendar and I'll show you how you can set one of these up. So remember to get to my calendar, I just click on the grid and then my calendar. And let's say I wanted to have a video conference meeting with somebody. I'm going to set it for let's say 3:30 on Thursday. So I'm going to go ahead and create this event. I'm going to go create the event. I'm going to say, let's have a conversation with Mike. And so I won't talk too much about all of the features of Calendar. If you're interested in learning more about Google Calendar, there is a Building Your Tech Toolkit session that is specific to using Google Calendar. But what I want to draw your attention to this in this presentation is this video call option here. So by default, when I set up this meeting, it automatically is putting it in as a video call. If this was actually a face-to-face meeting, I could go ahead and remove it. But in this case, I actually am setting this up as a video call that I'm going to do with Mike. And so when I send the invitation to him, then he's going to receive the link within Google Calendar, and he'll receive this link here for the video call. And so at 3:30 on Thursday, all we need to do is open up this event within our calendar, click on this link, and it'll both launch us into a Hangout so that we can begin having our meeting together. If you really like Hangouts and you see this as something that you could potentially be using more and more, and that you'd like to look at different ways to have even easier access to it, I'm going to show you a few options that you can do. The first one is within Gmail. There is the option to have it display larger and along the right-hand side of the screen. So in order to do that, you're going to go into your settings, and then you're going to go to Labs. And this particular lab is called Right Side Chat. So I'm going to enable it, save the change. And when I go back into my Gmail, it's going to have all of my chat messages along the right-hand side of the screen. It's taking just a minute here to load. But basically, you can see here in this white space that this exactly is where the Hangouts are all going to appear. There's also the ability to download an extension for Chrome. So again, like with all Google products, we recommend that you are using Google Chrome when you're using Hangouts. So with this extension, you can actually have Chrome appear at, you can have Hangouts appear in your Chrome address bar. So let me go up and up, open up the Chrome store. This is where you can come to download all sorts of apps and extensions for Chrome. I'm going to do a search for Hangouts. And here is the Hangouts extension that I was looking for. So all you need to do, you can click up here, it'll say add to Chrome. I've already done it, so I don't have the option anymore. But this is where you can download Hangouts for free to your Chrome. And now that I've done that, I've got the little Hangouts icon that appears up in my Chrome toolbar. So at any point, no matter what applications I've got open, I can click there and it'll pop open my Hangouts, and I can begin having conversations with others. The last thing I'm going to show you is Hangouts on Air, which this is an option if you want to do a large broadcast. So for example, what I'm using for today's presentation is Hangouts on Air. The advantage of it is that you can go beyond the regular 15 participant maximum that exists within the regular Hangouts. And the other big benefit of Hangouts on Air is that your Hangout will automatically be saved to YouTube. So to get to Hangouts on Air, I'm going to go into Google+. And from the main menu here in the top left-hand side, I'm going to click on, go all the way down to Hangouts. And I want Hangouts on Air. And now I can go ahead and create a Hangout on Air. So I'll give it a name. I'm going to call it my information session. Oops. Information session. Tell people what it's about. Let's say info for first-time home buyers. Of course, if I was doing this for real, I'd spend a little bit more time to write a more compelling description. When do I want it to start? I can have it start immediately, or I can have it start at a later date. So I'm going to schedule mine for the future. Let's say Wednesday, September 23rd at 3 o'clock for an hour. I'm just going to adjust the time zone. So it's Eastern time, perfect. And now I can decide who do I want to actually invite to this. So I could have this in my first-time home buyers collection. Which again, collections, that's a part of Google+. I'm not going to talk about that too much, but if you're interested in learning more, I'd encourage you to watch our Google+, Building Your Tech Toolkit. I'm going to X that out. I have the option to make this public. So if I want to make this public, then I need to make sure that I make it available to all. So right now when I see this little icon, it looks like two buildings. It means that it's currently restricted so that only people who are using a royallepage.ca email would be able to view this Hangout. But if I want anybody to be able to view it, make it completely public, I'm going to have to click here for Allow External Sharing. So I do that. Gives me a little warning message that this can be seen outside of Royal LePage. But I mean, that's exactly what I'm looking for, because I want my clients to be able to participate in this session. So, and I click share. So it creates, oh, here it's just giving me some information about Hangouts. It creates an event page for me. If I want to, I can go back and make any edits to the event, including adding a theme. And what they mean to by themes is just a little image across the top. So they have a bunch of default options that you can use, or you can upload your own design. Here is where people are going to be actually be able to view the presentation. If I wanted to, I could come in here and add a trailer. What they mean by a trailer is to add a video that people can watch before the Hangout on air. So something to pique their interest and get them motivated to attend the actual session. There are apps within Google Plus so that you can have a question and answer session. You can do a showcase if you wanted to share links with them. And then those links would just appear along the right-hand side of their screen while they're viewing the Hangout. And there's an applause feature where they can give you applause, and it almost looks like a little heartbeat monitor going across the screen at the bottom, going up if people give you applause, and going down if you're getting a thumbs down. I typically turn off the applause feature because I don't really see any practical applications for it. In the details section, you can see what this Hangout's all about. You'll notice that mine is a public event. But if it was restricted to Royal LePage only, it would show up as a domain event. And then I can find some quick links for this event on Google+, where it's going to be saved on YouTube, as well as some coding if I wanted to embed this video into a website. And then down towards the bottom, I can see the viewers. Of course, nobody has responded to my session yet, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with what it looks like as a participant when they're signing up, because again, today's presentation was done using a Hangout on air. So you're familiar that people would have the option to indicate if they wanted to attend. They can click yes, maybe no. So if they click yes, then they display in here. If I needed to send a message out to everyone who's participating, I could do it by clicking here, the message button, or I could post something onto this event page to maybe give people an update as to what's going on, or to just generate some more interest and excitement about the call. That's all I'm going to show for Hangouts on air. When it comes to actually launching it, all you have to do is click the Start button. But the functionality of how it actually runs is very similar to the video call. The only other thing you need to know is that once you've concluded your Hangout on air, it's going to automatically be posted to YouTube. And again, it would be posted onto your channel, so to your account, and it would be posted at this link. And if you needed to make any adjustments or even pull the video down, you would have the flexibility to do so. So that's about all I've got to show you for Hangouts on air. Feel free to ask any questions if you've got them. But otherwise, I want to wrap up and tell you a little bit more about some of the other training that Learning Services has available currently. You might have seen some of the communications that went out, but we've just launched our fall Realtor Marketing Workshop. And this workshop is called Rank Higher in Online Search. And it's all about how to improve your SEO results and really making the most of your website. So we've got training dates all across the country. All you need to do is click on your province. So say if I click on Alberta, I can see every city that we're visiting across Alberta. You just click on the location that's most convenient for you, and it will take you to a registration page to get signed up. So this is free training that's available. It's about 3 hours long, and it's interactive, hands-on training. So for some locations, there will be computers provided, but in others, we encourage you to bring your laptop so that you can really get some experience with the tools that are being discussed and get the most out of the workshop. In terms of some of our upcoming webinars, the next Sales Success webinar is September 24th. And this time we're going to have the founder of the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing, Lori Moore, who's going to be talking about some tips for building your business in the luxury market. The next Building Your Tech Toolkit has not yet been announced, but it will fall sometime in the first week of October. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I want to thank you so much for taking the time today to join into today's presentation. And as always, I want to leave you with some contact details. Of course, if you ever need support for any of the tools or services that Royal LePage provides, you can always get in touch with our customer care team. Their number is 1-877-757-4545. The team's available from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And if your request is non-urgent, you can always send them an email at help@royallepage.ca. My name is John, and I'm part of the Learning Services team. My number there is 416-510-5831, or you can send me an email at learningservices@royallepage.ca. So again, thank you so much for taking the time for joining in today's presentation on Hangouts. I hope that you'll come to enjoy using the tool as much as I do, and I want to wish you a fantastic rest of the day.